This new Netflix film is blowing people's minds and every woman should watch it. A lot of men absolutely hate it, and honestly, I understand why. In the film, a misogynistic and sexist man suddenly finds himself in an alternative reality where women run the world. Women own the biggest companies, hold all the leadership positions. Women make the rules. And men? Men are expected to stay in the background, to meet impossible beauty standards, to earn the right to speak and be taken seriously, to serve everyone around them. For the first time, he experiences what millions of women have dealt with for generations. It's a sharp and brilliant satire of patriarchy. The film is called Ladies First. Save it for your next movie night. Hi everyone, my name is Christina. I'm a professional actress, film producer, teacher, and the founder of Authentic Transformation Academy. I help people develop real confidence, authentic presence, and powerful self-expression in life, in business, and especially in high-pressure situations. And on this channel, I explore cinema from a different perspective. I break down powerful scenes from films to analyze human behavior, psychology, leadership, and what really happens to people under pressure. Because great films, guys, are not just entertainment. They are observations of human nature. And the genius of this film is that it doesn't teach you empathy. It tricks you into feeling it. What makes Ladies First so interesting is not the comedy. The comedy is just simply the vehicle. You know, what makes this film powerful is that it forces us to experience familiar situations from a completely different perspective. And the moment we start feeling uncomfortable, the film has done its job. Let's look at a few scenes. One of the strongest scenes in the entire film happens during a business meeting. The main character presents an idea, a good idea, a well thought out idea. But instead of discussing the content, people start commenting on him, saying things like, "Oh, calm down, darling, relax, you've been emotional, it's that day of the week." What's fascinating is that nothing he says is irrational. His argument makes sense, but suddenly the entire conversation shifts away from the idea and toward his emotional state. And if you're a woman watching this scene, you've probably experienced some version of this before. For decades, women in leadership positions have heard, "You're too emotional, calm down, you're overreacting, take it less personally, it's that day of the month." The film brilliantly shows how quickly professional competence can be dismissed once people start viewing someone through the lens of gender rather than expertise. And it raises an important and uncomfortable question. Why do we often interpret the exact same behavior differently depending on whether it comes from a man or a woman? A man raises his voice, he is passionate. He's considered decisive, powerful, strong. Rah! A woman raises her voice. Oh my God, she's emotional, she's hysterical, she's difficult. She is unstable. The behavior is the same, but the interpretation is completely different. Another brilliant inversion happens during the hiring and promotion scenes. For the first time, the main character realizes that his skills are no longer the most important thing in the room. People evaluate his appearance, his charm, his body, his attractiveness, how basically pleasant he is to look at. And suddenly, competence alone isn't enough. The film, of course, exaggerates reality for comedic effort, but that's exactly what satire is supposed to do, because many women spend their entire careers balancing two completely different expectations. Be competent, but also be attractive. Be ambitious, but not too intimidating. Be confident, but not too confident. I mean, And yes, perhaps the most interesting layer here is age. The main character is around 50, yet nobody questions his attractiveness, value, or relevance. In fact, his age almost increases his status. For many women, however, aging has historically been treated very differently. The beauty standards are harsher, the expectations are harsher, and in many industries, women constantly receive the message that their value has an expirational date. A 50-year-old man is often called distinguished. A 50-year-old woman is often asked how she is staying so young. Think about that for a second. The film doesn't just criticize beauty standards. It asks us why we created them in the first place. Then we arrive at one of the most uncomfortable scenes in the film. Women openly comment on his appearance, interrupt him, objectify him, patronize him, treat him as an object of attention rather than a fully autonomous person. At first, yes, it's funny. Then it becomes awkward. Then it becomes unsettling. And this scene raises perhaps the most interesting question in the entire movie. If women truly ran the world, would they actually behave this way? Would a matriarchy simply become patriarchy with different people in charge? Or would power be expressed differently? This is where the film becomes controversial. Some critics argued that the movie oversimplifies women's struggles by turning them into comedy. Others argued that the premise itself is flawed because women don't necessarily seek domination, they seek equality, they seek partnership. They seek access to opportunities and resources without having to suppress another group. And honestly, I think that's the most interesting conversation the film creates, because the movie isn't really about women and it's not about men either. It's about power. Power. What power does to people, how power shapes perception, and how easily we normalize unfair treatment when it benefits us. This is the moment where Ladies First stops being a comedy and becomes a social experiment. The audience starts recognizing familiar patterns. The only difference is that the roles have been reversed, yes, and suddenly behavior that once seemed normal becomes uncomfortable, which leads us to the central question of the entire film. If it feels wrong when it happens to men, why did we accept it for so long when it happened to women? And maybe that's exactly the point the film wants us to sit with after the credits roll. Now, I'm curious what you think. Do you guys believe a world run by women would actually look like the one portrayed in this film? Or do you think power itself is the problem, regardless of who holds it? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoy movie analysis that explore psychology, human behavior, human leadership, relationships, and the deeper meaning behind great films, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.